Hello and welcome to today's Multichrome Monday, and if you're new to my channel, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifty, and sparkly eyeshadows. And Multichrome Monday is a series I do here on my channel pretty much every Monday where I talk about multichromes from all different kinds of brands. I do eye swatches, swatch comparisons, tutorials, anything and everything that has to do with multichrome eyeshadows. And today I'm going to be swatching all of the Terra Moons multichromes and metallic eyeshadows that I have because they're going to be doing a restock and a sale for Black Friday. It will start on the 24th. I will have all the details down in the description box, and I do have a non-affiliate code with Terra Moons. It is Millie15. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of exclusions given that there's going to be already a sale happening. So we've got a lot to swatch here between multichromes as well as their beautiful, super metallic, just regular shades. They're not shifty, but they're still so special. And so I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently for this video in terms of the pairings for the swatches. I'm not going to be doing it by collection because they don't really keep the collections as bundles. It's more like they end up just going under chameleons and etc. So I'm just going to be grouping all of these pretty much by color similarity, so already kind of, you know, doing swatch comparisons between these in a sense. So you're going to see swatches of like oranges, pinks, purples, blues, greens, etc. They're going to be grouped that way. There's going to be some duochromes mixed in with the multichromes as well, but then these shades I did swatch separately. So all of these shades down below, which some of these are duochromes, but they're just so sparkly, and some of these are a little bit more flaky. So I did swatch these separately. I believe these were like one of the releases from the summer or like sometime early 2021. I will not be doing any swatch comparisons between brands in this video. I have so many swatch comparisons. If you are interested in seeing any particular shades from Terra Moons, just search the kind of release bundle that they came out with, the name. So for example, the fall equinox, just search that on my channel and you will find a video. And I did comparison swatches in that video. I also featured the gray based multichromes from Terra Moons, and in that video I did comparison swatches to the deep iridescent multichromes from Clionadh. So I will link down any relevant comparison swatches down in the description box, so make sure you check that out. So let's get right into the swatches, and then I'll give you some more recommendations at the end of the video. So first up are the orangest all together, being just duochromes and multichromes. For example, Daybreak, I believe, is not a true multichrome, but I'm just kind of pairing all these together so you're kind of seeing them in comparison already as well. Titan has a bit more sparkle to it. I think it's kind of translating on screen as well compared to this shade, and it's just got a little bit more of a base compared to the gray base multichrome. Next up we have the peaches and the light pinks. Again, some textural differences for sure. The smoothest being these four shades, but overall very smooth, very reflective, so shifty, so beautiful. I just absolutely love these gray base multichromes from Terra Moons, which is this shade right here. It's just so shifty and so bright. Next up are the darker pinks. There's quite a bit, so I swatched it on my wrist, but you can see there's a nice variety of like really bright, which this shade down here doesn't really shift. And then you can see this shade is very sparkly compared to like smooth. Like it's still smooth, but you can see the flecks of sparkly happening. And then these three are pretty metallic. I would say these two black base multichromes are even more smooth and metallic than this shade. I think this is one of the newer kind of black based shades. Next up are the purples, and I guess I separated these out into like two sets. So here's the first set. Some of these do stain, these two, I'm not sure, you can kind of almost tell that they will. This one stains, but there's a really nice variety. These three multichromes, super unique. Next set of purples, we've got the Cosmos, of course, the one and only legendary Cosmos. And you can see it's pretty chunky. I have quite a bit of just kind of chunks, but you can smooth it out. You just really have to rub it in. And then the rest of these are super smooth. This purple, really not shifty. This is also a very unique black-based multichrome. And Moontide is also really beautiful. Next, onto the blues and Blood Moon. I didn't really know where to put Blood Moon since it is such an outlier. So I just put it with a blue since there isn't that many blues. But I do have another set of blues after this. So here's a swatch of all of these shades in comparison. Obviously, no similarities in terms of color. And Blood Moon is just so stunning. I do wish it was shinier. It seems like this kind of shift has only been available in like a more satin formula, and I do feel like it gets even more satin and completely loses any shine on the lid, but same with other shades I have. This was the first multichrome that I got of this kind, but there's been a bunch of other brands coming out with this shade. Next up is a more turquoise blue or bluish green, so teal. You can tell Cosmic Dancer has a base to it compared to some of these other shades, like totally different kind of base. While Supernova also like a darker base, but in terms of just the color. Next up, I'm not really even what to call this set. There's just so many interesting tones, lots of unique multichromes in this set. Just some of my absolute favorite colors. Love this shade, love this shade. Solar Expansion is just, you can see sparklier, maybe just a little bit more flaky in texture. You can kind of tell by the look in the pan that it just looks like there's something more happening compared to these other shades that are very, very smooth. And onto the greens, we've got quite a bit of these, lots of different tones and bases. Black base, not really a teal base, brown base, gray base. I believe this is more of like a brownish gray base. And then these two are not shifty or multichrome. I think they're just regular shades. If anything, this one might be a duochrome. And you can tell from swatches, we've got some smoother formulas as well as some chunkier formulas such as these two shades. While this shade is very, very smooth, and so is the black base multichrome. Last up, we have the Iridescent multichromes, and so I'm going to be swatching them by the shades that are similar. So we've got some purples. They look like different tones of purple, but Zero Gravity is one of those shades that is really, really stunning, but I feel like the shift is a little bit harder to see. It is just like the same shades from across other brands, and I do have a whole entire comparison video with all the Iridescent multichromes across different brands, so I will link that down in the description box in case you're interested. And then the shade is totally different. It's a very interesting pinky sheen to a bright, bright green. Really beautiful. And these are all very smooth. Next up are the green shades, and this shade in particular is a bit on the chunkier side, and I think it's translating in the swatch, and I think even in the pan you can kind of see that these two have just a little bit of texture going on, but really not a lot, and they smooth out once you apply them. And the shade down here is the smoothest for sure. Like the moment you touch the pans, you can feel it. Next up are the kind of orangey shades, orangey gold shades, and Phoenix obviously stands out. So smooth, so pigmented. These other two shades are also very smooth. So hopefully these will help you decide, because I do feel like you don't need like even just all three of these. And then we have the reddish shades, and Red Giant obviously stands out, and just the kind of sheen it has, it really is just not the same. And it's also extremely smooth, especially even compared to these two. Like these two shades are really smooth, but there's just something you can see in the texture. There's just something about it. It's just a bit different, maybe different enough. I just don't think that you would need both Red Giant and Astral. And then lastly, from the Iridescent multichromes, we've got this set of basically yellowish green kind of multichromes all together. And these are all very smooth. Lightyear does look like it has a little bit more of a base versus being like truly translucent. I think you can kind of see it, especially at this angle. It's like a almost brownish base, and it does shift to a blue. It's so beautiful. There's a lot happening, and you could of course layer this over different colored mattes or just a black matte eyeshadow. And now we're out of the multichromes and into just some really beautiful duochromes. And just in general, like interesting toned metallic shades, like these two and even this one, just really, really interesting. And so is this one. This one definitely has a duochrome shift to it, as well as this one shifting to a purple. And then lastly, I did want to swatch these shades just because they're so metallic and so beautiful and sparkly. Oh, these are just so magical, and we do have like a multichrome duochrome happening here. These three shades are the chunkiest. They're almost like somewhat sheer because they're just a little looser in the pan, while the rest of these four shades are so smooth but so shiny. And these are very affordable, and especially on sale. I mean, you will not get anything like this from a mainstream brand. Like maybe Pat McGrath, maybe a couple of others, but for the most part, like Urban Decay would never. They don't know this level of shine. I'm gonna start out in this palette. I actually have them ordered the way I swatch them so that it's easier to type up once I'm editing this video. So future Millie will thank me for this, but it's a little inconvenient because I have like 3 different palettes happening with different eyeshadows. So from this bottom row, which again, one of these is a duochrome, and the rest of these are just super, super metallic, shiny, sparkly, just regular, like warm and bronze and gold and silver. I would recommend any of these. Of course, if you don't like something a little bit more textured, I would probably stay away from these over here, which is like the grayish, almost like graphite looking shade, which is really beautiful. Then the blue purple, and then this other lighter graphite shade. But the rest of these 4 of these are just so stunning. Like, they will really pack a punch. So this is a great option. I believe these are already like obviously lesser priced than the multichrome, so they're gonna be even better on sale. Just totally worth it to have. Those are really good for every day. And then on top here, we have some of these like more unique multichromes, and I do have a whole video where I talked about unique multichromes, but Terra Moons definitely has some of the most unique multichromes for sure. I mean, some of the tones that they come out with, like, I didn't even just like ever thought to think of those. Like, they just blow my mind every time they come out with more multichromes. So some of these shades are Gamma Ray, definitely a stunner, so beautiful. Inertia, another one. These are kind of like grungy too. Sun Scorch, these are a little on the darker side, but they don't necessarily have a black base. And then Tidal Flare, so stunning. That one is not as grungy, but it's still got like a little bit of grunge to it. And the Solar Expansion, which is a little bit on the chunky side, but that one is also pretty unique. And then as for some of these other shades, so these at the top are kind of like, they're not like fully satin, but they're definitely more satin-like. So I don't know if I would like, you know, obviously if you like satins, that is something you might go for. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that, so I'm not going to be really making any recommendations. And then as for these blue shades, this one over here, Supernova, really stunning and very unique as well. And then we also have Cosmic Dancer, which is kind of like similar to some of these other shades, but Cosmic Dancer is very much like a gray base multichrome, so it's very vibrant, doesn't have much of a base, and it's also really beautiful and shifty. Highly recommend that one if you like blue and purple. But again, like I've said this already, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing me say this, but it really just depends on what kind of shades you like to wear, you see yourself wearing a lot. I can't recommend a shade that I love to wear that you would never wear. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense. Like, I wouldn't want you to buy something like that. So just take my recommendations with a grain of salt. So next up, we have some beautiful red shades. I think out of all of these, definitely stand out is Crimson Eclipse, like just stunning. Their gray-based multichromes are direct dupes to the deep iridescent multichromes from Clionadh. I do have comparison swatches between those, and they're completely exactly dupes. Like, even just like on the lid, they look the same. So I highly recommend getting any of those if you didn't want to buy from Clionadh because of the shipping, etc. definitely. And I'm pretty sure Terra Moons is going to have a better discount on these anyway. And then on to just some of these other shades. I think this one is Helix Nebula, Reign of Terra, like just really interesting shades. Veil Nebula, the Cosmos is another great one. The Cosmos is a direct dupe to Carla Cosmetics Sleepyhead, if you've been seeing that one. Highly recommend. It is a little bit on the chunky side. It's actually the one down here, not that one. What is this one? Star Sign, that one's also really beautiful. Series is probably one of the coolest multichromes I've ever seen. It's just so captivating, and it's really interesting, and you can layer this one over darker mattes and it will be really fun. And then we have some of these other shades. Some of these are the gray based multichromes. So we've got Big Bang, I believe, which is a direct dupe to Verte from Clionadh, and M51, which I think these are a little, you know, some of these are a little bit similar, so I think you could just get one or two, or maybe even just one of those. And then this shade, oh my goodness, Venus, this is I believe this is a direct dupe to Vermilion. I think it's the Vermilion shade from Clionadh. Literally just one of the most beautiful shades out there. And then this one as well, which is Antares. I love that one. And then some of these down here, of course, if you love greens, then definitely get Titan. I mean, that one is a stunner. And then out of the iridescent multichromes, honestly, I can't really put this up because I have it here again, like in the order I swatched them. And from those, I would recommend pretty much, if you don't have any iridescent multichromes, including Divina and Clionadh, then I would say go for these, because again, the discount's going to be bigger, and if you're US based especially, the shipping is going to be potentially free, so that is a better offer for you. But if you already have a bunch of iridescent shades from other brands, make sure to check out my comparison video between all the different indie brands and their iridescent multichromes. I will link it down in the description box, since I did not do any swatch comparisons directly between brands in this video, because I've already done so many swatch comparisons. So I really hope that this video was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content uploading my channel, lots and lots of multichromes. And let me know in the comments below if there's any shades that you plan on picking up during the Terra Moon sale. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.